Order number 5, papers.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 8th November 2023, this morning's sitting. Number 1, 2023 Budget Review and Outlook paper for the National Treasury, the 4th Medium-Term Plan, MTP4, 2023-2027 from the National Treasury, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2021 and 30th June 2022, and the certificate therein in respect of Kiambu Girls High School, PCA Kikuyu High School, Mosop Mixed Secondary School, Dr. Kiano Girls Secondary School, HGM Tinganga Secondary School, Moi Girls Secondary School Kamangu, Moho High School, Dr. Kiano Boys Secondary School, Kirangari Boys High School, Kairi Boys Secondary School, Kirenga Girls High School, Ikonge SDA Mixed Secondary School, St. Agatha Ngoloki Secondary School, and St. Clair Butula Girls High School. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Member for Makwiny, Honorable Susan Kiamba. Proceed.
Speaker, I wish to give notice of question number 486/2023 to the National Police Service Commission. Could the chairperson of the commission explain the circumstances that led to dismissal of Mr. Henry Mutunga Kingola of ID number 25987997 and the service number 239072 on 18th February 2022? 2. Explain why the commissioner is yet to reinstate Mr. Henry Mutunga Kingola after the High Court in Makwiny acquitted him.
Honorable member, you're asking a question? Or
yes, question.
Okay. Then start again that it's a question, not notice of motion, for purposes of record.
What it does? Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish notice of a question number 486/2023 to the National Police Service Commission. Could the chairperson of the commission explain the circumstances that led to the dismissal of Mr. Henry Mutunga Kingola of ID number 25987997 and service number 239072 on 18th February 2023. 2. Explain why the commissioner is yet to reinstate Mr. Henry Mutunga Kingola after the High Court in Makwiny acquitted him on 28th July 2022 for the 2 charges leveled against him. State the action the commissioner has taken to reinstate Mr. Henry Mutunga Kingola to the National Police Service and compensate him following the unlawful dismissal in 2022. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Makwiny. Next order. Yes, I think it came to my office. Honorable Member for Garissa. You had a question. Okay, proceed. You had a question or statement? Statement, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the unexplained adoption and disappearances of several persons from Garissa Township constituency. Honorable Speaker, on the 8th October 2023, Mr. Ado Mohammed Hassan of National ID 255-72443 was abducted from his house in Garissa town. The father of 9 has since been missing. On the 18th of October 2023, again Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi Mohamud of National ID 263-23016 and a father of 6 was abducted from a hotel within Nairobi, Isli area, and has not been seen since then. Less than 2 weeks later, Madam Speaker, on the 30th of October 2023, Mr. Abdirashid Hish Mohammed of ID number 303-91407, a father of 5, was abducted by police officers, was picked by police officers from his shop in Garissa, and his disappearance remains a mystery today. Families of, Madam Speaker, families of these 3 missing persons are facing heart-wrenching uncertainty about the whereabouts of their loved ones. Madam Speaker, in all the stated cases, the abductors of the victims are believed to be police officers purportedly cracking down on terror suspects. While we truly support the efforts by the government and the police officers and the security agencies to fight terrorism, the recent developments raise deep concerns regarding the violation of fundamental rights of suspects by subjecting them to ethnic and religious profiling, arbitrary arrest, and possible extrajudicial execution without due process of the law. Madam Speaker, the criminal justice system is clear on the manner of processing suspects, and therefore it is important that security agencies uphold the principles of due process at all times. Madam Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. What circumstances led to the police abduction of Mr. Ado Mohammed Hassan of ID number 255-72443, Mr. Mohammed Abdullahi Mohamud of ID number 263-23016, and Mr. Abdirashid Hish Mohammed of ID number 303-91407. 2. Where are the 3 missing persons being held and the status of the investigation, if any? What measures has the government put in place to ensure that the counterterrorism initiative and efforts are carried out in strict compliance with the law and international human rights standards? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I think there was also a statement by Honorable Member for Soy constituency.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Request for statement regarding gruesome killing of Ms. Rachel Nyambura in Matunda Town. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the unfortunate killing of Ms. Rachel Nyambura Munyaka, commonly known as Mama Lea in Matunda Town, Soy constituency. Honorable Speaker, on 4th November 2023, at around 8 p.m., Mama Lea was headed home after closing her business when she was knocked down by a vehicle, rolled over several times, and brutally murdered by criminals. What makes the tragedy even more distressing is the proximity of the incident to Matunda Police Station, located only 400 meters away, yet the officers never responded to the SOS call for help by the family of the deceased. Disturbingly, the police claim that the incident fell outside of their jurisdiction since the station is situated in Kakamega County, while the incident occurred in Uasin Gishu County. The family was directed to seek help from Chukura Police Post, which is located 5 kilometers away. Further attempts by the family to secure ambulance emergency services were in vain, and by the time they obtained the private means to rush the victim to St. Luke Hospital in Eldoret, she unfortunately passed on 30 minutes after admission. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. Why did the police officers from Matunda Police Post decline to respond to the distress call from Mama Leah's family following a tragic killing despite being just 400 meters away from the scene of the incident? 2, is there a policy that bars police officers from responding to incidences proximal to their station on account of being outside their administrative jurisdiction? And if so, what is the rationale behind the implementation of such policy? 3, what steps are being taken to ensure that the incident is promptly investigated and perpetrators brought to justice to provide closure to the bereaved family? 4, what actions are in place to ensure proper coordination between police stations in different counties in order to ensure timely response to emergencies and crimes? Lastly, what measures have been put in place to ensure security in Matunda Town, Moisbridge Town, and other growing town centers in Soy constituency to curb the increasing crimes rate? I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I request that you request the chairperson to provide this statement within 14 days because it is a matter of national concern. Thank you.
I think the standing order provides for the timeline for the relevant committee to obtain these answers from the police commission or the relevant institution. Next order. Is there any more statements? Hold on a moment, I confirm there's another statement. Is there any other statement? Okay, you may proceed, Honorable Rosso, with your point of order.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, there are two statements sought by our colleagues in the House this morning. One is abduction of citizens. In the last government, there were so many Kenyans who were abducted from their homes, from their cars, from their offices, and to date, many of them are still missing, and the families are suffering. I believe under the government of President William RUTO, the law must take its course. Not a single law enforcement officer should take the law into their own hands. Let those who are maybe suspected or seen to be involved in vices such as criminal syndicate or even associated with terrorism, let them have their day in court. The idea of extrajudicial killing or making Kenyans to disappear, I think from this House, we all have one or two still missing from our constituencies. I think this government should not allow that state of affairs to obtain. On what the Honorable Member from Soy raised, I think the Kenya Police Service is said to be utumishi kwa wote. No life is more important than the other. All lives are important. For that reason, I, as the Vice Chair of Administration and Internal Security Committee, will bring a report back to the House in 2 weeks. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, I think we can proceed to the next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of certain business
from Standing Order 43.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the procedural motion that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order numbers 10, 11, and 12 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable Speaker, you'll notice that these orders that were planned for tomorrow in the afternoon sitting at 2:30, but now a matter that is now in the public domain and as communicated by the Honorable Speaker, tomorrow His Excellency the President will be addressing Parliament on the state of the nation. So it's important that we reschedule these very orders to Wednesday morning and a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I move and ask Honorable Martha Wangare to second.
Did you move did you move as the procedural motion as indicated?
Yes, I did, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, proceed, Honorable Martha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is for good order of the House and the convenience of the House, and therefore I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order numbers 10, 11, and 12 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable members, I now put the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing on orders number 10, 11, and 12 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, procedural motion, reduction of publication period of a bill.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the following bills from 14 days to 8 days. Number 1 is the National Lottery Bill, National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2023. And number 2 is the Gambling Control Bill, the National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, you'll realize that we only have about 1 calendar month to have all the business dispensed in this House within this very session. And we've got so many bills that are lined up for, that are lined up in this House to, of course, to follow all the procedures and everything. And it will only be imperative that we try as much as possible to, condense the procedures that we have and everything that we have to reasonable timelines, not very short and not very long, so that we are able to dispense of this business right in time. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, we feel that the days for these very particular bills, the National Lottery Bill, which is very crucial, and the Gambling Control Bill, which has been debated in this House previously. It's been an issue that every person has interest, and people have really shared a lot about the gambling matters in this country. We felt it wise to now reduce the publication period from the 14 days to 8 days. It's not too long, it's not too short. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move, and I'll ask Honorable Rahim to second.
Madam Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the following bills from 14 days to 8 days. 1, the National Lottery Bill, National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2023, and 2, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023. Honorable members, I now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 120, this House resolves to reduce the publication period of the following bills from 14 days to 8 days. 1, the National Lottery Bill, National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2023, and 2, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, the National Lotteries Bill, National Assembly Bill number 69 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to provide for the establishment of the National Lottery, the National Lottery Board, and the National Lottery Fund, and for connected purposes. Order number 11, the Gambling Control Bill, National Assembly Bill number 70 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to provide for the regulation of betting, casinos, and other forms of gambling, authorization of prize competitions, and public lotteries, for the establishment of the Gambling Regulatory Authority, for the imposition of tax on betting and other forms of gambling, and for connected purposes. Order number 12, special motion, consideration of nominees for appointment as ambassadors and high commissioners.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations, Honorable Koech.
Thank you.
I couldn't see you actually.
I was here. Took your seat today. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that, taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as High Commissioners, Permanent Representatives and Ambassadors laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 7th of 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 132, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution, Section 20, Subsection 2 of the Foreign Service Act 2021, and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011. This House approves the appointment of the following persons as High Commissioners, Permanent Representatives and Ambassadors. Ms. Jane Wairimu Durumo as the High Commissioner, Pretoria, South Africa. Number 2, Ambassador Isaac Ken Parashina as the High Commissioner, Abuja, Nigeria. Number 3, Ms. Janet Mwawasi Oben as the High Commissioner, Kigali, Rwanda. 4, Mr. Peter Munyiri as the High Commissioner, New Delhi, India. 5, Dr. Wilson Kogo is the High Commissioner, Canberra, Australia. Number 6, Mr. John Ronald Ekitela is the High Commissioner, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Number 7, Ambassador Philip Mundia Gidiora is the High Commissioner, Maputo, Mozambique. Number 8, Ms. Sabdio Dido Bashuna is the High Commissioner, Gaborone, Botswana. Number 9, Mr. Peter Ngure is the Permanent Representative, Paris, UNESCO. Number 10, Ambassador George Morara Orina as Ambassador Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Number 11, Colonel Retired Shem Ahmad is Ambassador Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Number 12, Mr. Jeremy Nyamasho Ndola as the Ambassador Juba, South Sudan. Number 13, Mr. Jeremy Laibuta as the Ambassador Khartoum, Sudan. Number 14, Mr. George Makogoye as the Ambassador Djibouti. Number 15, Ms. Joyce Hasimwa Maitsi as Ambassador Luanda, Angola. Number 16, Honorable Iringo Kubai, Ambassador Mogadishu, Somali. Number 17, Ms. Fauzia Abdirahman Abbas as the Ambassador Bern, Switzerland. Number 18, Ambassador Betty Chebet Chirwan as our Ambassador to Paris, France. Number 19, Ambassador Frederick Lusambili Matwanga as Ambassador Rome, Italy. Number 20, Ambassador Angelina Kavindu Musili as Ambassador Stockholm, Sweden. 21, Ambassador Stella Orina as the Ambassador Berlin, Germany. 22, Ms. Nairimas Sharon Olisein as the Ambassador Madrid, Spain. 23, Maurice Makolo as our Ambassador to Vienna, Austria. Number 24, Professor Amy Cherono Kipsoi as our Ambassador, Seoul, South Korea. Number 25, Mr. Mohammed Ramadan Ruwange as our Ambassador, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Number 26, Lieutenant General Albert Kendagor as the Ambassador, Tel Aviv, Israel. And finally, number 27, Mr. Mohammed Nur Adan as our Ambassador to Doha, Qatar. Honorable Speaker, the Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations is one of the departmental committees of the National Assembly established under Standing Order number 216, whose mandate pursuant to Standing Order 216(5) includes, among others, to vet and report on all appointments where the Constitution or any other law requires the National Assembly to approve, except those under Standing Order 204, which is a Committee on Appointments. Honorable Speaker, the subject of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations are stated on the second schedule of the standing orders, that they include, among others, foreign relations, diplomatic, consular services, and international relations. Honorable Speaker, before the House details the proceedings during the approval hearing, 27 persons nominated for appointments to the Office of the High Commissioners, permanent representatives and ambassadors. The purpose of the vetting was to ascertain their suitability to discharge the responsibilities of the offices they have been nominated to serve in. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Article 132, Sub-Article 2E of the Constitution, as read with Section 3 and 5 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011, His Excellency the President notified the National Assembly through a letter that was dated 11th October 2023 of the nomination of the 27 persons of appointment as ambassadors and high commissioners or representatives. Honorable Speaker, your office, pursuant to Standing Order 42(1), made the communication dated Thursday, 12th October 2023, conveying to the members of the National Assembly the message from His Excellency the President. You subsequently referred the names of the nominees and their CVs to the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations for approval hearing. While referring to the matters of the committee, you directed the committee to undertake the vetting exercise and report to the House before or on Wednesday, 8 November 2023. Honorable Speaker, in compliance with Article 118 of the Constitution and Section 649 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act 2011, the Clerk of the National Assembly placed the advertisement in the print media on Saturday, 14th October 2023, informing the public of the nomination date, time, and place of the approval hearing. He also invited the public to submit memoranda by way of written statements on oath affidavits on the suitability of nominees. The memoranda were received on or before the 23rd, that was on a Monday, October 2023. Honorable Speaker, further, the Clerk of the National Assembly wrote to Kenya Revenue Authority, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, the Director of Criminal Investigations, the Higher Education Loans Board, and the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties, seeking information on the nominees relating to their ethics and integrity, tax compliance, criminal records, higher education loan repayments, and political party affiliations. All responses, Honorable Speaker, were favorable, except the EACC, which flagged out Mr. George Makogoye, the nominee as ambassador to Djibouti. The commission stated that it was progressing on an inquiry where he was mentioned in a matter involving alleged irregular payment of legal fees to a law firm by the Kenya Maritime Authority. The commission further stated that once it completes its investigations, it will forward the file to the Director of Public Prosecutions for review and advice. And on this, I will also want to invite the members, especially when they'll be debating, to consider where Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission simply flags but do not give specifics of exactly what they are looking at and if in any way they will be making prosecutions or not. Now they left it to the wisdom of the committee to decide on the fate of one Mr. George Makogoye. The committee observed that the matter was under investigation by EACC, which by law has no power to declare one guilty. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, by law, the office that is required to. If in receipt of the file from EACC with evidence that can be sustain a prosecution, prosecute the matter in a court of law. Therefore, it will have been premature for the committee to adjudge the nominee guilty of an undisclosed offense when due process had not been carried out. It happens many times, even honorable members of this House, many times when you are seeking to contest for positions, people are subjected to this process by EACC, and in no way has it denied anyone to contest because there is a presumption in law of innocence. Honorable Speaker, 27 nominees appeared before the committee from Wednesday, 25th October to Thursday, 2nd November 2023. The committee examined their suitability based on their criteria set out in Section 6, subsection 7 and 8 of the Public Appointments Approval Act 2011. The committee focused on their academic credentials, professional training and experience, personal integrity and background, the procedure used in their nominations, constitutional and statutory requirements relating to the office of the head of mission, and the general suitability of the nominees for the appointments proposed. Honorable Speaker, the committee, having considered the nominees, filled questionnaires pursuant to Section 6(8) of the Public Appointments Approval Act 2011, their CVs, and having had their oral submissions during the approval hearings, made specific observations of each of the nominees following the general observations. All nominees are Kenyan citizens and do not hold dual citizenship. Thus satisfy the dictates of Article 78, 1 and 2 of the Constitution, which bars state officers from holding dual citizenship. Further, all the nominees presented their academic credentials and professional certificates, and during the approval hearings demonstrated their suitability in accordance with the provisions of Section 6(7) of the Public Appointments Act number 33 of 2011. Honorable Speaker, all the nominees satisfy the requirement of Article 77(1), having stated that they do not intend to participate in any other gainful employment while serving as state officers. Honorable Speaker, none of the nominees held offices in any political party, a requirement under Article 77(2) of the Constitution and scheduled to the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval number 33 of 2011. Madam Speaker, none of the nominees had been dismissed from the office under Article 75 of the Constitution for contravention of provisions of Article 75, which is conflict of interest, 76 prohibity, 77 restriction of state officers, and 78(2), which deals on the dual citizenship in the Constitution. Honorable Speaker, the committee received one memoranda from Mr. Eliud Karanja Matindi contesting the approval of all the 27 nominees. He urged the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, that the Salaries and Remuneration Commission had not set remuneration and benefits payable to the persons holding the office of the High Commissioner, Ambassador, and diplomatic or consular representatives. He further asserted that in the absence of the remuneration and benefits, any recommendation for approval for appointment will violate the Constitution. However, the committee observed that the memoranda addresses a totally different matter that touches on the mandate of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission and is not in any way addressing the fundamental role of the National Assembly of conducting approval hearings. Their memoranda, therefore, could not preclude the committee from carrying out its constitutional mandate. For that reason, it was dropped. Honorable Speaker, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, in response to request for information on the nominees, which I have mentioned, pointed out that one of Mr. George Makogoye, the nominee for the ambassador to Djibouti, who was mentioned in a matter involving a large irregular payment of the legal fees by Kenya Maritime Authority. However, like I had mentioned earlier, the committee observed that Mr. George Makogoye was not under any investigation by EACC, which was under investigation by EACC, which by law has no power to declare anyone guilty. The nominee accorded with two-thirds gender principle, rather the nominations accord with the two-thirds gender principle. Article 27, Subarticle 8 of the Constitution provides that the state shall take legislative and other measures to implement the principle that not more than two-thirds of the members of the elective or appointive bodies shall be of the same gender. In this regard, not more than two-thirds of the nominees were of the same gender. The nominees have a balance between career diplomats and appointees as required under under the Section 23A of the Foreign Service Act 2021, which has given a chance to career diplomats who hitherto stagnated in their career progression. Equally, the nominations tapped fresh talent from outside the service to inject fresh impetus and perspectives. Notable cases include, which I will mention shortly, but Honorable Speaker, just to mention, if you look at the appointments that were done by the President, for the first time, collectively as one appointment, most of these appointees, or rather nominees, are career diplomats. These are diplomats who have stagnated for very long in the same position, and for long it has demoralized the career progression, demoralized our diplomats who have really for very long waited to ascend to positions of ambassadors, but many of them have never been successful. This time around, the President considered that, and many of them were placed in different missions, and I really want to thank the President for that gesture, because when we use our diplomatic field as a soft landing for failed careers, or even sometimes honorable members who, for one reason or the other, were not able to manage and make it to Parliament, or any other offices that they had sought and are given space in the diplomatic circle, they are demoralized and they don't stay long in the fields where they are posted. You find a politician who is seeking to contest again in the next election being posted to a mission, their mind is divided and they don't fully serve the offices they have been posted to, because at the same time they want to be ambassadors, and at the same time they want to look back home to contest in the coming elections. So for this one, I really want to salute the President for working and focusing on having different ambassadors and diplomats who are stagnated in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs take over offices. I want to especially mention one Ambassador, Angelina Kavindu Musili, our nominee to Stockholm, Sweden. Ambassador Musili's impressive career progression, Ambassador Musili started in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a secretary. To her current role is a testament to her competence and dedication. Her journey serves as an inspiring example for those who aspire to grow and excel in the diplomatic field. Her nomination reflects the meritocratic values of our nation, where hard work and dedication are rewarded. She had her educational journey from pursuing a certificate course in secretarial studies to currently pursuing a PhD in political science in international studies. This is a testament to our commitment to self-involvement and academic excellence. Our academic pursuits are a reflection of our intellectual capacity and dedication to enhancing our knowledge and skills to better serve Kenya's interests abroad. Ambassador Musili Kavindu has proven her diplomatic acumen through numerous notable achievements. One such achievement is a pivotal role in initiating and managing bilateral talks on the first labor agreement between Kenya and the United Kingdom for the employment of nurses in the United Kingdom. This is one of the notable achievements of our nominee, Ambassador Angelina Kavindu Musili, who started off as a secretary and has really worked very hard, walked through the ranks to this position. She is currently pursuing, like I said, a PhD. This landmark, and even participated in the signing of this agreement that had enabled many of our nurses now and skills to be exported to the United Kingdom, thus generating income to many of Kenyans nurses who will otherwise be here and not having employment. This landmark agreement has opened doors for Kenyan professionals to work abroad, facilitating export of a skilled workforce. While serving as a director for the Americas and Caribbean's ambassador, Musili played a vital role in initiating and coordinating negotiations for establishment of Moderna manufacturing vaccines and pharmaceutical manufacturing company in Kenya. This is one of those companies that were revolutionary, that was amongst other things to do research on vaccines for COVID-19, and Ambassador Kavindu played a huge role. This monumental investment, which is valued at USD 500 million, is the first of its kind in Africa and will generate thousands of opportunities for Kenyan citizens. Our contribution to this project underscores our effectiveness in promoting economic diplomacy and investment in Kenya. Also, Madam Speaker, to note is that this is the amongst few nominees who was able to appear before the committee without written notes. She has a very sharp memory from when she started her education and through her career progression. She did not need any notes to refer to. She was very eloquent, very precise, straight on, and to the point. She totally impressed our committee. I will wish her all the best when she continues serving our country in our new mission if this House considers her nomination. Our second nominee who impressed our team was Ambassador that is the keepsake is in me, Ambassador Betty Chebet Chewon, our nominee to Paris, France. Many of you honorable members who have had an opportunity to travel with the President or have been in state functions, the seamless pattern, the seamless arrangement, the seamless ushering in of different activities that happen. This is the lady who plays behind the scenes.
You can give him 3 minutes to complete.
So Ambassador Betty Chewon has had an outstanding service, a testament to her dedication. Another notable was Mohammed Noor Eden, our nominee to Doha, Qatar. Mr. Maurice Odhiambo Makolo, our nominee ambassador to Vienna, was another notable nominee. He's currently the Vice President of UN Habitat for Humanity International in Africa. He is going to really help us, particularly in the area where Kenya Kwanza administration is focused on in respect to affordable housing. Honorable Speaker, I have just in a nutshell to say most, if not all, of these nominees were extremely, extremely impressive in their pitching for their nomination. And the committee, for that reason, therefore, recommends that the House approves the appointment of Ms. Jane Wairimu Ndirumo as the High Commissioner, Pretoria, South Africa, Ambassador Isaac Keen Parashina as the High Commissioner, Abuja, Nigeria, Madam Janet Moasi Oben as the High Commissioner, Kigali, Rwanda. Number 4, Mr. Peter Munyiri as the High Commissioner in New Delhi, India. Number 5, Mr. Daktari Wilson Kogo is our High Commissioner to Canberra, Australia. Number 6, Mr. John Ronald Ekitela is the High Commissioner, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Number 7, Ambassador Philip Mondia Gidiora is our High Commissioner, Maputo, Mozambique. Number 8, Ms. Abdio Dido Bashina is our High Commissioner to Gaborone, Botswana. Number 9, Professor Peter Ngure is our Permanent Representative to UNESCO. Number 10, Ambassador George Morara Orina is our Ambassador to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Number 11, Colonel Retired Chio Mamadi is our Ambassador to Kinshasa, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Number 12, Mr. Jeremy Nyamasho Ndola is our Ambassador to Juba, South Sudan. Number 13, Mr. Jeremy Laibuta, our Ambassador to Khartoum, Sudan. Number 14, Mr. George Makogoye is our Ambassador to Djibouti. Number 15, Mr. John Kasima Maitsi is our Ambassador to Luanda, Angola. Number 16, Honorable Iringo Kubai is our Ambassador to Mogadishu, Somali. Number 17, Mr. Fauzia Abdirahman Abbas is our Ambassador to Bern, Switzerland. Number 18, Ambassador Betty Chebe Chirwan is our Ambassador to Paris, France. Number 19, Ambassador Frederick Lusambili Matwanga as our Ambassador to Rome, Italy. Number 20, Ambassador Angelinda Kavindu Musili as our Ambassador to Stockholm, Sweden. Number 21, Ambassador Stella Orena as our Ambassador to Berlin, Germany. Number 22, Nairimas Sharon Olesein as our Ambassador to Madrid, Spain. Number 23, Mr. Maurice Makolo as our Ambassador to Vienna, Austria. Number 24, Professor Amy Cherono Kipsoi as our Ambassador to Seoul, South Korea. Number 25, Mr. Mohammed Ramadan Ruwange is our Ambassador to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. 26, Lieutenant General Albert Kendogor is our Ambassador to Tel Aviv, Israel. And number 27, Mr. Mohammed Nur Adan is our Ambassador to Doha, Qatar. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and urge the House to adopt this report. Honorable Speaker, I now request Honorable Major Retired Sheikh Abdullahi Bashir, my Vice Chair, to second this motion. I thank you.
Did you mention the permanent representative?
Sorry?
The permanent representative?
Yes, I did mention.
You did? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I proceed to second?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to second the motion that this House approves the appointment of the 27 persons nominated for appointment as High Commissioners, permanent representatives, and ambassadors. Honorable Speaker, the office of the Ambassador, High Commissioner, or permanent representatives is an office under the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs. The duties of the office of the Head of Mission, pursuant to Section 21 of Foreign Affairs Service Act number 12 and 21 are well known to all of us and is well documented. I don't want to go back to what my chairman has said. I will skip on that point. Honorable Speaker, during the approval hearings, the committee paid due regard to the procedures used to arrive at the nominees. We looked at any constitutional or statutory comments relating to the offices and suitability of the nominees for appointment proposed, having regard to whether the nominees' abilities, experience, and qualities meet the needs of the country's foreign service. We looked also at the demeanor and the composure of each of the nominees during the vetting process, so that we look at whether they can meet the cut. Honorable Speaker, upon conclusion of the approval hearings, we scrutinized the personal, academic, and career background of the nominees, and we were fully convinced that they were all fit to be heads of the missions they had been nominated to serve. Honorable Speaker, something to note is that half of these nominees are career diplomats and people who have served in the line ministries. And this is actually the very first time that most of the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs staff are considered. And this is actually something that actually improves the morale of the team that works at the ministry. It's actually very, very important because half of them are career diplomats. Honorable Speaker, we scrutinized these nominees for 2 weeks because the numbers were 27. And that means that we took our time to look at each of the nominee to see that they all fit the cut. Honorable Speaker, I wish to assure the House and the country that we have the right individuals to steer our foreign policy in respective stations. We therefore recommend that the National Assembly approves the appointment of the 27 persons to serve as High Commissioners, Permanent Representatives, and Ambassadors in the respective stations. Honorable Speaker, some of the candidates that actually made the committee's work very easy because they were actually composed and they could meet and defend their positions. We looked at one of the candidates, that is Professor Peter Ngure. He's an academician, but he's going to serve in UNESCO. And you know UNESCO is about education and culture. And so that is where actually he meets and ensures that he does. We also had 2 members who previously served in this House that were also nominated to serve in those stations. One was Honorable Kubai and Honorable Kogo. And we actually looked at them, and that this, having looked at and having served in this parliament before, that they meet the cuts because diplomacy is also about parliamentary diplomacy. And so they actually did their best. The last nominee that we vetted was Muhammad Adan. And this nominee actually was the most composed among us all because he could answer the questions in a very composed manner. And that tells us that most of the nominees, actually 27 of them, all of them meet the cut. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to take much of the time. I second this motion and urge the House to adopt this report so that these members can, the 27 nominees rather, can actually go and serve the country diligently and serve in certain posts which are actually lacking now, high commissioners or ambassadors or permanent representatives, because the vacancies are actually need to be filled as at now. So, Honorable Speaker, without much ado, I second the motion and urge the House to adopt this report. I thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations in its report on the vetting of the nominees for appointment as High Commissioners, Permanent Representatives and Ambassadors laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, November 7th, 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 132(2)(e) of the Constitution, Section 222 of Foreign Service Act of 2021, and Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act of 2011, this House approves the appointment of the following persons as High Commissioners, Permanent Representatives and Ambassadors. Ambassadors: 1. Jane Wairimu Ndurumo for Pretoria, South Africa. 2. Ambassador Isaac Kin Parashina, Abuja, Nigeria. 3. Ms. Janet Mwawasi Oben for Kigali, Rwanda. 4. Mr. Peter Munyiri for New Delhi, India. 5. Dr. Wilson Kogo for Canberra, Australia. 6. Mr. John Ronald Ikitile for Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. 7. Ambassador Philip Mundia Githiora for Maputo, Mozambique. 8. Ms. Sabidio Dido Bashuna for Gaborone, Botswana. 9. Ambassador George Morara Orina for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. 10. Colonel Retired Sheikh Mamadi for Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. 11. Mr. Jeremy Namasio Ndola for Juba, South Sudan. 12. Mr. Jeremy Laibuta for Khartoum, Sudan. 13. Mr. George Makoye for Djibouti. 14. Ms. Joyce Hamisimwa Maitsi for Luanda, Angola. 15. Honorable Kubai Iringo for Mogadishu, Somalia. 16. Ms. Fozia Abdurrahman Abbas for Bern, Switzerland. 17. Ambassador Betty Chebet Cheruon for Paris, France. 18. Ambassador Frederick Rusambili Mwatwangwa for Rome, Italy. 19. Ambassador Angelinda Kivindu Busili for Stockholm, Sweden. 20. Ambassador Stella Orina, Berlin, Germany. 21. Ms. Nairi Samas Sharon Olesein for Madrid, Spain. 22, Mr. Maurice Makolo for Vienna, Australia. 23, Professor Amy Cherono Kipsoi for Seoul, South Korea. 24, Mr. Mohammed Ramadan Ruwange for Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. 25, Lieutenant General Albert Kendagor for Tel Aviv, Israel. 26, for Muhammad Noor Adan for Doha, Qatar. Permanent Representative, Professor Peter Ngure for the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, Paris, France. I think a few members, Honorable Jane Kagiri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to support this report. And first, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate the 27 nominees, because it is a huge feat considering that they were picked amongst more than 52 million Kenyans. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I would want to congratulate the committee for a job well done. They've given us a breakdown of the nominees, their strengths, and even what they think they should do better. Madam Speaker, allow me to support this report, but with some advice to the 27 nominees. Honorable Speaker, I would want to remind the 27 nominees that they are going out of the country as representatives of Kenya. And so we are seeking that they continue with the good bilateral relations we've had with various countries, and all that we'll be requesting them is to foster these relationships further. We've seen the Prime Minister of Japan visit our country, we've seen the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic visit, we've seen the Chancellor of Germany visit, and last week we had the King Charles III visit our country. That speaks into very good bilateral relations, and all we can be seeking for them is to foster them further and create more opportunities for this country. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I would want to urge the 27 nominees that when they go out there, they are the parent to the Kenyans in the diaspora and the students who are there. So they should remember that for any consular services, it is them who are supposed to assist Kenyans out there. And Madam Speaker, this particular one reminds me of my years as a student in a foreign country, when my visa almost expired and I was required to reach out to my High Commission. When I made a phone call there, the officer who received it told me I would not be the first student to be deported. And the immigration officer at the host country that I was in looked at me and told me, I will assist you if these are the kind of officers who are supposed to serve you. So, Honorable Speaker, I know mine is one story amongst many of Kenyans in the diaspora and students who struggle. So I want to add these nominees that once they get out there, let them be there to defend Kenyans and to be there for them. Thirdly, Madam Speaker, let them remember they're also supposed to manage crises in the countries that they will be serving in. Madam Speaker, we've watched on our television screens images of our people who are outside the country, who suffer, and they have had to send videos to their relatives, and the videos are aired on our media for us to know that Kenyans are experiencing challenges. I would want to challenge these nominees that when they go to serve in these countries, they should be there for Kenyans in cases of emergencies, and they should be there to assist them. A Kenyan does not need to call out for help back home when there's an embassy or a high commission that is supposed to assist them. Fourthly, Madam Speaker, we would want to tell them they're going out there to promote our country on tourism. Madam Speaker, I took time to check the leading country on tourism in the year that passed. That country was France, and they had 79 million tourists. Kenya had a paltry 1.5 million tourists. Honorable Speaker, these are numbers I would want these nominees to walk away with and realize, as we keep complaining of the weakening shilling, the only way we can foster it is by us increasing our foreign exchange. And our foreign exchange can only be increased through us ensuring that we have more tourists coming to this country. Madam Speaker, let them increase our trade. If we look at the numbers that we had last year, from the diaspora remittances, we had around 483 billion shillings. it is good that these 27 nominees remember that we need these people in the diaspora for us to keep increasing our foreign exchange. So, Madam Speaker, they should serve them, they should support them, and they should assist them accordingly for them to continue supporting our economy. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, let them remember we have our tea, our coffee, our cotton, our human capital, which we can market outside there to increase our foreign exchange. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I wish them the very best as they proceed on to serve our country. We know they are up to the task and they are going to deliver greatly. And my final tidbit, Madam Speaker, to the 27 nominees is that Laikipia County was voted as the leading destination on where you can easily spot the big five. So they need to be walking brochures where they tell people of wonderful destinations that they can visit in the country. Finally, Laikipia is the host to the only bear in Africa. That is also data they need to move around with. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support the report and I wish them the very best. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Marsabit, Honorable Naomi Wako, and those members who want to contribute to this debate, kindly press the intervention button. But also let's all be mindful of the others and keep our, let's not be repetitive, keep it brief so that as many members as possible can have an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to this motion, as I also congratulate the committee for doing good work and for doing all the due diligence that they needed to have done, and for coming up with the recommendation, that goes to the committee. Again, Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the 27 nominees who will go out to represent our country. When they go out there, they are our ambassadors and they are there on behalf of the country, and they should serve our country in the best possible way. Madam Speaker, what I want to say is, as ambassadors and representatives of this country, the 27 nominees are greatly honored because there are many people who would have loved to be in this position, but through the mercies of God and Kenya Kwanza government, they have been picked so that they can represent us. I have gone through the names and also through the report, and I know that they are all well educated, that they are equal to the task, and that they will serve the country in the best possible way. Madam Speaker, when they are there are areas that they need to give attention. We have students, as we all know, that Kenyans are very dynamic and Kenyans invest a lot in education. We have students all over the world studying, and sometimes they are exposed to a lot of danger. Sometimes they face challenges because of 1, 2, 3 things, sometimes even because of their visa issue. And I request that as they go out to represent our countries, let them give a lot of attention to our students who are there. Their parents are here, their relatives are here, but they are outside there advancing and excelling in their education and academics. Let them give a lot of attention to our students who are there and help them where they can so that they can make maximum use of the time that they are there. Again, Madam Speaker, in particular, I want to talk to the nominee, Mr. Mohammed Nur Adan, Doha, Qatar, and Mohammed Ramadan, going to Arabia, putting into consideration the young people who have gone to those countries and suffered in the hands of their employers. We have young people who have gone in search of job and employment, and they have suffered. Some have lost their lives, and many are the times that when they die outside there, bringing back their bodies has been a challenge, and we realize that Kenyans have suffered because they have no money to bring them back. And I request that those ambassadors stand in and support all the people who have gone outside there to do different jobs so that they can be treated as human beings. Again, there are those Kenyans who go on medical attention, the sick people. Those ones also need to be given a lot of attention. And as I finish, Madam Speaker, I want to talk about Dr. Wilson Kogo, who was here in 12th Parliament. As he goes to Australia, I know we have known him and interacted with him in 12th Parliament. Let him represent our country in the best possible way. I congratulate him together with all the others and pray that his time there will show people that surely Kenya is a country that produces good leadership and good people. As I finish, Madam Speaker, I want to in particular refer to our nominee number 8, MS Sabdio Dido Bashuna, a lady from Marsabit, a great lady, a professional who has invested a lot in education and who has served our country in different capacity as a professional, and who has a lot of integrity, who has taken care of herself in many ways and committed herself in serving this country in a big way. As she goes out, I must say that as one of the leaders from Marsabit and as a woman leader, I am proud that one of my persons or somebody from Marsabit, and in particular a lady for that matter, has been appointed and nominated and now going to represent this country. I know that she's very hardworking, she's passionate in serving our country. As she goes, I want to just tell her that as women of Marsabit and women of this country, we are proud, we are already proud of her, and we wish her all the best. And she should just know that the women of Marsabit County are proud and we are behind her. We will give her all the support that she needs, and we wish her all the best as she goes there and represents us. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, mine is just to tell all the people, all the nominees, that we wish them all the best and let them serve our country and represent us in the best possible way and be that agent of transformation where we need them. Let them promote our tourism, promote our trade, promote everything that Kenya needs to be promoted in all the areas that we need to promote Kenya in, and we will proudly give them all our support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Gilgil, Honourable Martha Wangari.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very good report by the committee chair, who is my chairman in the Committee of Defense and Foreign Relations. And Madam Speaker, we sat long days as members of this committee to scrutinize this list of 27 that was brought here by the President on their nomination to different areas. And one issue, Madam Speaker, I will note is that this list is quite well balanced. You will hear there is a member from Marsabit, you will hear there is a member from Nyeri, you will hear from someone from Kajiado, and all over the country, Madam Speaker. But more importantly, even gender-wise, out of the 27 nominees, Madam Speaker, 10 are women. That is 37%, Madam Speaker. And we have very high confidence that they will be very good representatives, Madam Speaker. Secondly, Madam Speaker, it is a nomination list that is quite unique because it has mixed the fields of experience. We have academics in this list. If you look at Professor Peter Ngure, Madam Speaker, he's actually the acting DVC or the Deputy Vice Chancellor in St. Paul's University, a well-published professor of parasitology who has been very widely published, Madam Speaker, and his knowledge and capacity will be very needed in UNESCO as a representative, Madam Speaker. There are also other people who are in this list. You'll get former politicians. That is why you see the Honorable Kogo. That is why you'll see the Honorable Kubai Ringo. And Madam Speaker, these are also people who have very wide knowledge in terms of people representation and have the capacity to actually represent this country, Madam Speaker. If you look at even the NGO, especially the international NGO world, you'll find an example of Madam Fauzia Abaso, you'll find a Maurice Makolo, people who have worked in international organizations, Madam Speaker, also being nominated. But more importantly, we also have very serious career diplomats, people who have served this country in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, have risen through the ladder. That is why you'll find Ambassador Philip Muthiora, you'll find Ambassador George Morara, you will find Ambassador Stella Orina, you'll find Ambassador Betty Cherono. So it is quite a good mix. Cheron, sorry. Yes, Ambassador Betty. That is why I say...
correct you because I was in school with her and grew up with
yes.
her. Cheruon.
Cheruon, not Cherono. Ambassador Betty Cheruon as a career diplomat, Madam Speaker. And all these ambassadors, Madam Speaker, have served this country in other situations, and we were able to scrutinize not only their capacity, but also their knowledge on the areas where they are going. We scrutinized their academic qualifications, we scrutinized the integrity issues, and that, Madam Speaker, we did also against the mirror of fair administration of justice, that you are only proven guilty after you have been convicted. Madam Speaker, that is now to talk to the issue of Makogoe, because there was a flag of EACC. And Madam Speaker, we must also get to a point where the EACC does not just flag a flag without giving proper details on what the issue is. And if the issue has not been escalated as a charge, that cannot be used to actually deny someone to be able to serve. Madam Speaker, this good face of Kenya will be out there not only as representatives of the president, but also as our face in terms of furthering our foreign policy, the pillars of our foreign policy, Madam Speaker, the issues of economic relations, the issue of diaspora, and that also adds to what other members have spoken about, that they must be the one-stop where even our Kenyans outside there are able to go. And I say that because even when we have conflict, even as it's happening now with Palestine and Israel, and I remember we asked the ambassador who is actually based there, that are you evacuating Kenyans? Kenyans should feel comfortable that even if you're in a country and it gets to the point of war, how can you be able to exit being helped by our government? This should be the one stop where they will be assured of assistance if they go, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President has done very well in the last 1 year in terms of placing this country on the map. Madam Speaker, every time, even just yesterday, we had the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, we have a senior official visiting this country, or we have the president actually visiting. They must also remember now that when the president starts something in terms of the bilateral and the multilateral relations, it is them then to follow up. And Madam Speaker, that speaks to the deliverables, not just to be called an ambassador, not to just be called a high commissioner or a representative, Madam Speaker. It is to say, if you have been sent to some place for 4 years, how many jobs have you created? Because, Madam Speaker, we are dealing with an issue of unemployment in this country. We are dealing with a dynamic labor market, Madam Speaker. So it should be able that you have sat in one station for 4 years, you should be able to quantify how much business have you brought to the country? How many investors from your country are investing in this country? How many jobs are they creating? How many people have you actually assisted to get scholarships? How many have you assisted to be employed in that market? Madam Speaker, these deliverables should actually be one of the issues that these nominees should be able to handle the moment they are assigned this station. So, Madam Speaker, without taking so much time, I would actually want to just support the report and say that we scrutinized these people very well. We had all the time to ask the questions. We had all the time to scrutinize their documents. All of them had been cleared by the statutory institutions that are required by our constitution and other laws. They had gotten their clearances from HELB. They are not officials of political parties. And Madam Speaker, we are confident as a committee that if approved by this House, or when approved by this House, these nominees will be the representatives that we need to further our relations not only in their station but also with other stations in the region. And Madam Speaker, we are really struggling as a country to maintain the hegemony in the region, Madam Speaker, and sometimes it is being threatened even in our region. Then we should be able to assert the position of Kenya, not only in the region, not only in the continent, but in the globe, as the President is doing, and we hope that these nominees will add to back up the President in that one, Madam Speaker. I beg to support. Thank you very much.
The Honourable Member for Kipipiri, Honourable Wanjiku Muhia. Please give her the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the onset, I start to support this report and congratulate the committee for a job very well done, and also notify the House that this Committee of Foreign Relations works very closely with my committee, not necessarily physically, but in terms of their work. because you know we are on regional integration, and in regional integration, of course, for us to integrate very well and for prosperity, we need to work with the foreign relation. On the onset, I would like to speak to the 27 nominees and ask them to maintain and improve the foreign relation that has been there. They should be kind to our Kenyans, especially the students. Honorable Speaker, anytime we travel overseas and we attempt to have a dinner with the Kenyans abroad, we get very sad stories. These students or Kenyans, they get stranded, maybe the passport is expired or it's expiring. They try to reach our embassies and they do not get any help. I think the Committee of Foreign Relations needs to show this House if there is any strategy, any work contract in terms of a job description to the ambassadors, or really we need to understand as a House what is their work. Because how can a student or a Kenyan be so stranded in China, in India, yet our House is there with the flag? So I urge them to be kind, get out of the offices as diplomat as they should be. They also try to understand the team that is there from Kenya. Honorable Speaker, we were speaking and we were debating yesterday on the session paper number 1 of 2023. We were debating on accuracy of data so that it can help us in planning. We speak of billions that come from foreign countries brought by the Kenyans who work and live there. It is time that our ambassadors also get very accurate data of Kenyans who live there. And we are obviously aware that there are those who live there with the papers and others without. I want to urge our ambassadors to be giving the real situation of any country they represent, so that when Kenyans are planning to travel, they can travel wisely. For instance, the Embassy of Canada today is issuing hundreds and hundreds of visitors visa. And when you land in Canada, because of course Kenyans are trying to find better opportunity and green pastures, with a visitor visa, they cannot work, they are sleeping on the street. So we want to challenge the ambassadors to give the real situation, give the information, make citizens aware that when you want to travel here for a job, you need a work permit. Failure to that, it shouldn't work. Then, Honorable Speaker, I ask that they give the information, and as I'm happy with this list, because of course it has a number of women, and as you note, this House has a number of women, I want to speak on the group of persons with disability. I do not want to speak on women because there are many women and you have already spoken about it. I do not see any member, any ambassador from the community of persons with disability. We have seen these people prove themselves working very hard, and so I want to urge our president and our government, which I am, that I would be happy, and the people with disability would be happy if they find one of themselves in this list. We appreciate that Honorable Mwaura is the government spokesperson, and he's doing very well. He's proven that he can do. So we look forward to having one or two on the future list to come. I want to say that as regional integration, we work with the ECOWAS, so I look forward to be working with Ambassador Isaac, whom is very well known to me. He has been in Tel Aviv. Now that he's coming to ECOWAS, and we work with the ECOWAS time and again, we look forward to working with him. Our other regional body, IGAD, we look towards Dido Bashuna to be working with us at Botswana. We also look to working with George Morara at African Union in Addis Ababa. We look forward to working with Shema Madi at Kinshasa because DRC has come on board. And as I complete, for information of the House, that we have a tripartite already, the 3 African regional bodies or regional communities, that is COMESA, EAC, and SADC. The success of this regional integration will also count on the ambassadors at these stations. So be kind to our Kenyans. That's my message to the ambassadors who are traveling to represent Kenya. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Vihiga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to this important motion. Madam Speaker, let me start by congratulating the committee under the chairmanship of Honorable Koech for a job well done. They've told us they've spent hours, and I note the list was very long. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the nominees, 27 of them, for this appointment they have been bestowed. Now, there are three things, Madam Speaker, that I note with satisfaction when I look at this list. Number one, this list represents the face of Kenya once you go through all the names the way they are. This is very useful because over time we have had skewed nominations which don't represent the face of Kenya. So I congratulate the President on that one. A lot has been talked about the gender rule, which I agree with. I think there is a good representation of the gender rule when I look at this list. And then the third thing I note with satisfaction is the mix between various careers that have been tapped in this list. We have academicians, we have even ex-military officers being given a chance at diplomacy. So it's a very good mix, people with different experiences being asked to do diplomacy. One thing I will ask before these people leave for the foreign missions, Madam Speaker, I would want them to have a very good pre-departure training. Some of them are going to countries where their cultures are different from ours. And it's very important to appreciate different cultures wherever we go. So let us have a good pre-departure briefing so that these ambassadors or high commissioners know what to expect where they're going. Now, I want to appeal to these nominees. The first appeal is, how will they do to encourage Kenyans to be registering in the embassies that they will serve? Madam Speaker, having lived in UK, I will give you an example. We had one ambassador there, the late Shadrach Kimalel. May his soul rest in peace. This gentleman had a scheme where every Friday he had some sort of social meeting in the embassy. And that encouraged a lot of our people to come from wherever they were to the embassy. So we should see a lot of our people registering. Now, what is our expectations from these diplomats? Madam Speaker, I think we should move into the area of economic diplomacy. We want these people to go abroad and create opportunities for us. So they should insist on issues of economic diplomacy, apart from the usual counseling services. The other thing, when you go to these missions abroad, one of the responsibilities I want to urge the nominees to undertake is to safeguard our assets abroad. How often, Madam Speaker, do you go to a mission and you find there's a pile of vehicles all over, you find buildings which are dilapidated, you find all sorts of things? They should know it is their job to safeguard our assets abroad. The other point I want to make, and this is an appeal both to Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the President. What I want to talk about our diplomatic footprint in various parts of the world, especially in Africa and the South Americas. I note, like a vast continent like South America, I think we have only one embassy in Brazil. I think we should consider having a very strong diplomatic footprint all over the world. Now, I do appreciate in Africa, we have done very well. We were lagging behind in the West Africa. We used to have only one embassy, I think, in Nigeria.
Abuja. But now a lot has happened and we have a very good footprint over there. But I will encourage especially the South American continent, we should have a bigger footprint in Argentina, as far as Colombia. I think we are in Brazil and Cuba only. Now, Madam Speaker, how do we judge our ambassadors and high commissioners? I think there should be something, there should be some yardstick. And the obvious one, which I can see, is how much are they contributing in areas of counseling and also economic diplomacy. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I want to speak to an issue that is bedeviling us overseas. The issue of our people being stranded. Our people struggling over there. Now, I want to encourage, I'm aware the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, together with the Ministry of Labor, they're coming up with something called a welfare fund for these people, a migrant welfare fund. I think that should be speeded up because it's a very important fund. When our people are stranded out there, there is always something to help them. Because so often you find the embassy is unable to do anything when these people are stranded. So I would encourage the government to fast track this migrant welfare fund, which will take care of this stress when our people are outside there. So with all those remarks, Madam Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Kamukunji.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to join others in supporting the nomination, the recommendation of the committee chair. And as a member of the committee myself, I would like to say that this was one of the most odious vetting exercises we have ever undertaken. And I speak from experience, having been in this committee for the 4th term now. 27 ambassadors and high commissions. This was a lot of work, a lot of numbers to look at. And I think, Madam Speaker, we are in a changing global environment, a rapidly changing global landscape, and ambassadors and representatives require more specialized skills, more knowledge, and more experience. And foreign affairs and diplomacy is not for everyone. You can't have everyone in there. And I want to say that I am relieved now that at one time we had a lot of nominations from the political side, and foreign affairs at one point was becoming a dumping ground for people who are not wanted by the administration here. But now in this particular nomination we have received 27 people who are very qualified, many of them, several of them holding PhDs and specialized in their own field, many of them professionals, career diplomats who are stuck in the system because of various reasons. And I think they need to be able to do the job that we need them to do, which is dealing with our economic diplomacy, dealing with multilateral issues, dealing with climate diplomacy, soft power and cultural diplomacy, digital diplomacy, diaspora and crisis management, and many, many other roles that would be required in today's diplomatic service. So I want to say that among the number of the people that we are now recommending who have made it to represent us in this particular list are people with really specialized knowledge, people with economic knowledge, people with scientific knowledge, people with bilateral, very specialized bilateral knowledge, and I think they would serve us very well as we send them to missions across the world. I also wanted to say that however good a diplomat is, however effective a diplomat is, if you cannot, you can be the best diplomat in the world, but if you do not have, excuse me, Speaker, I am distracted here. if you do not have the support that you need from your base of supporting government ministries, supporting government departments, you are not going to succeed. Let me take an example of tourism. A diplomat works very hard to sell our country, holds seminars, holds exhibitions, and promotes tourism. And then the tourists come in big numbers, and they land at Jomo Kenyatta Airport. And you have those harassing customs officials, you have harassing policemen, you have harassment from the immigration. That effort by any diplomat would come to nothing. So we must also fix our affairs so that we have an enabling, supportive environment for the work that the ambassadors are doing outside. I also want to compliment the President for the balance. We have a very good balance, regional, ethnic, and religious balance among the appointees. For example, I see for the first time in recent years, we now have the right diplomat in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia. Previously, our ambassador was more or less irrelevant because he didn't fit very well with the culture, religion, and ethics of that particular neighborhood. We now have an ambassador who would be able to open doors for us and who would be able to work with the Muslim community that is going for pilgrimage to Jeddah and Makkah and Medina every year. So on the whole, I would say that this is a very good balance of representatives, well qualified, well experienced, and I wish them well, and I would urge this House to approve them so that they can start their jobs in their various missions all over the world.
Honorable members,
I support.
I would like to listen to you contributing. Because now, if my ear this side, my ear this side, let me listen to those contributing so that I also get to know what's going on. Avoid approaching the speaker. The Honorable Member for... Go ahead, the speaker. You got the mic, the Honorable Deputy Speaker. You got the mic with you. Your mic is on?
Yes, just a moment. Oh, sorry. My apologies, my mic was stuck underneath some of the gadgets here. Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity to speak on the matter of the report of the vetting of persons for positions of ambassador, high commissioners, and permanent representatives. I want to commend the committee for having done a very good job in vetting the various nominees. But I just want, in the interest of time, I want to go straight to one particular point. In his moving notes, the chairperson of the committee, the relevant committee, stated that the clerk of the National Assembly wrote to the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Ethics and Corruption, Anti-Corruption Commission, among others, seeking for information about the nominees, relating to their ethics and integrity, and so on. They say that all responses were favorable, save for that of one who was flagged out, Mr. George Makoye, nominee for ambassador to Djibouti. And the commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, stated in its response to Parliament that it was progressing in an inquiry where the said nominee had been mentioned involving a matter that related to the Kenya Maritime Authority. The question that we need to deal with here as Parliament is the confirmation that the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has no authority whatsoever in law to purport to clear nominees for any position as ambassador, high commissioner, or permanent representative. What the commission was responding to, what the commission is allowed to deal with, is under, and I think I will refer to it, under the leadership Under the Leadership and Integrity Act of 2012, Section 13(2), there is a requirement for persons to fill a self-declaration form, and it is for persons running for a state office. That self-declaration form does not give the power to EACC to purport to clear the person of any criminality. The self-declaration form is intended to be used at a later date should the person be under investigation for any wrongdoing or anything that is contrary to the ethics and to the leadership and integrity, the Leadership and Integrity Act. Also, it is similar to the wealth declaration form. It is not intended to be used to prevent a person from being approved for any particular office, but is for later use should the person come under investigation subsequent to their appearance before the committee. So what is happening here is we are allowing the EACC powers that it does not have. So in fact, that response from EACC was null and void and unnecessary. And I think it is important that the committee must actually inform EACC that they cannot write and say, because we are inquiring into some corruption on this person, they cannot be cleared. Because also it goes contrary to the Constitution. According to the Constitution, Article 47 on fair administrative action, it says that everyone has a right or fundamental freedom of a person who is likely to be adversely affected by any adverse administrative action to be given written reasons. At what stage was EACC going to get an opportunity to give reasons to Mr. Makoye in time for him to be able to be cleared for the nominee as ambassador to Djibouti? It is completely unfair and can be used by malicious people in those commissions to prevent people from going to office. Another issue that we need to raise is that it is clear that a parliamentary committee, when it is sitting, has the powers of a high court. The person appearing before the committee usually will take an oath to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. So if that person is asked, do you have any matter against you? Have you ever been convicted? And so on. They have an opportunity to say yes or no at risk of perjury, which punishments we know and are provided by law. So for EACC to purport to be the investigator, the judge, the prosecutor and the judge, in relations to persons, as deciding whether a person has been cleared of meeting the integrity standards set out for public officers, I think it is wrong. It is my plea to parliamentary committees to ensure that in undertaking this process, they do not create monsters of some of our independent commissions. For example, you writing to the Director of Criminal Investigation, asking if the person is a person who meets the standards of integrity and ethics, is really self-defeating and futile. Reason being, the Directorate of Criminal Investigation has no capacity in terms of human resources and databases in order to be able to make that determination. They can hardly keep up with the number of criminal cases and investigations that they have already in their hands. Now we are adding another job that they can now start interrogating specific individuals. We have systems and institutions that will catch up with those people at the appointed time. And even if we approve them here for those positions, it's not the end of it. Should they be found to lack integrity at a later date, there is processes for their removal from office as a result, but not to put the cat before the horse. So, Honorable Speaker, with those few pointers that I have noted, and one more item. On the issue of asking, instead of writing to the Director of Criminal Investigation to make a subjective decision, you simply asked for the person to submit their certificate of good conduct, which shows that they have no criminal record. It's as simple as that. Let us stick to the processes that already exist. If we are not satisfied with the processes that already exist, it is very simple. This House has the power and mandate to be able to put in various laws and regulations. With those few remarks, thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity.
I'm sure the chairman is listening, and even the chairman of the Appointments Committee. Maybe we may need to review what we ask for of nominees in future. The member for Mandera South.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I'll take you from the rest of the members by thanking and congratulating the committee for the wonderful report. They've taken quite a long time to vet these nominees, and it is good that they have given us credible Kenyans, 27 Kenyans who have been nominated for approval to become ambassadors and high commissioners. I must say we are in a world now where a lot of things are happening, and diplomats like the ones we're just approving are very key in international relations, and we need them, especially at this time when Kenya is actually becoming a highly recognized country in the world. The fact that we have been asked to lead the Haiti mission is an example of Kenya's credential, which is growing in the world, and we need credible men and women who are going to represent this country in the diplomatic circles. I must take this opportunity to congratulate all the 27 nominees for being nominated to become the ambassadors and high commissioners, and in particular, I will thank two nominees. I'll take this opportunity to congratulate two particular nominees from my county. That is Ms. Fauzia Abdurrahman Abbas, who is going to serve Kenya in Bern, Switzerland, and Mr. Mohamed Noor Adan, who is going to serve Doha, Qatar. I must also, by extension, congratulate a neighbor for Mandera County, who is Ms. Abdio Dido Bashuna, who is going to serve this country in Gaborone, Botswana. Congratulations to all of them. Thank you.
Out of order, no,
Mr. Speaker, I know this is a very important motion to approve our ambassadors so that they can start working, and I can see everybody supporting it. So would I be in order to ask that the mover be called to reply?
Honorable members, from where I sit, I can actually read the mood of the House. So I will today, Honorable Pukose, for the first time, you are my friend. I'll disagree with you today on this matter. We'll allow a few more. Yeah, then this can happen. Because the same standing order you are standing on allows us to allow more members to debate. And please don't carry your hands up, because I'm following the list here. All of you want to speak, so let me just follow the list on how you came. The next to speak is member for Sotik. Member for Sotik.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me this opportunity to also make comments on this particular important issue. Mr. Speaker, I want to state on the onset that I was privileged to serve as a diplomat in this country. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say this is a position of honor, and I want to thank the President, particularly for giving us a face of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the names and people who are appointed, who are nominated for these posts, They come from all over the country and from all professions. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the committee for doing a very good job. Mr. Speaker, as I said, I had the privilege to work in Nigeria as the High Commissioner. And Mr. Speaker, I managed to put up offices and staff quarters in Nigeria. And I'm very proud. I want to ask those appointees, those nominees, to make sure that they work for the government, work for the country, that they bring goodies to this country. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask those officers who are going to be posted to work particularly and mainly on the economic diplomacy. Mr. Speaker, when I was in Nigeria, I tried very much to influence the intra-African trade. And Mr. Speaker, I found a lot of problems in West Africa particularly. And we would like to ask the Minister of Foreign Affairs to give these diplomats the capacity, give them the officers, give them the staff, and give them the working space so they can deliver for this country. Mr. Speaker, I was also in Canada the other day, and I realized that there are opportunities in that country. And if we work well and put our connections and bring the people of this country the trade and even the jobs which are available out there, Mr. Speaker, I'm very sure this country will benefit a lot. Mr. Speaker, I would like to appeal for capacity building of these diplomats. Let us give them proper training, technical training, and also diplomatic training, so that they can be able to discharge their duties. Mr. Speaker, I also would like to ask the nominees, particularly in Africa, to make sure that Africa is the place to go, that we can improve trade relations between African countries. Mr. Speaker, I want to support this motion. Thank you.
The Honorable Caleb Amisi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance. Mr. Speaker, it's becoming increasingly difficult to speak in this house. I don't know why. But
The Honorable Caleb Amisi. The Honorable Caleb Amisi. You're out of order because you are number 15 on the list, and because I've given 7 this side, I've just... Come on. You can't do that.
Mr. Speaker, I was referring to earlier sessions, not this one, and I want to appreciate for you for giving me this time. Thank you, Speaker, for catching my eye. And I want to support this report by my committee where I serve, the appointment of ambassadors and high commissioners. Mr. Speaker, ambassadors and high commissioners are the highest rank of diplomat with full plenipotential powers to represent the state and the government. And of course, in that respect, Speaker, they must be Kenyans of high quality, Kenyans with impeccable records of professional acumen. And then, Mr. Speaker, sitting in the vetting committee of these ambassadors, I was well convinced, having been drawn from various departments, having been drawn from various professionals, and especially for the first time, we've had the majority career diplomat. Speaker, last parliament we passed a bill to protect our career diplomats so that we have a good percentage of them being appointed as ambassadors, which is one of their highest positions in their career. And as also a student of international relations, I'm currently undertaking my master's degree, and I was able to interact with these ambassadors on academic angle. I was certified that our ambassadors this time round are people with impeccable knowledge in education matters, matters of international relations. We are currently, the globe is changing in so many spheres, economically, militarily, We have power struggles across different regions, hegemonic power struggles in the NATO region, in the African region. And Mr. Speaker, we have Kenyans who also carries knowledge in matters of security. And when we draw such Kenyans to represent us, full equipped with security background, in areas that are security-wise dire, in an anarchical international system, environment, then we also give our country enough powers and space and the knowledgeable Kenyans to be able to carry our flag in whichever circumstances that do occur internationally. We also have a number of members of this diplomatic corps with a background in economic. Like, for example, my good friend Matwanga. Matwanga has worked in various missions, and he has the impeccable record in matters of economy. We've been talking about how do we harvest out of our missions abroad in terms of our economic advancement. And when you have members with well-equipped knowledge in matters of economy, then we are comfortable that they will tap into the global economic dynamics that are changing every other day, and we feel well represented whenever matters of a Kenyan diaspora economic pillar is mentioned. There are very critical areas that I think as we send our members in the diaspora to represent us, I think, as my colleague mentioned earlier, we need to give them proper pre-departure sensitization. They must be keen on our ever-evolving foreign policy statement. We keep on changing our foreign relations, our treaties, negotiations, agreement with the bilateral, multilateral, whatever the case might be. And these members need to know on the prevailing treaties, the prevailing agreements that Kenya has, and how they benefit our country. We've had interactions with members of a diplomatic corps. Some of them who do not even have an idea on what Kenya has with other related countries. And therefore, we do not envisage them having to represent us very well if they lack knowledge in how Kenya relates with other countries. And this is important that we give them a pre-departure training. We have a college that this parliament, last parliament, we passed a bill to establish a foreign training college, so that even the members who do not have knowledge in matters of international relations, or they have come from other backgrounds, they are able to be trained, equipped well, properly, so that when they go outside, they represent us fully and very diligently. Mr. Speaker, I beg to support, and I beg to give other members opportunity to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Dagoretti North.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the team, and more importantly, to appreciate the committee for the work they have done, Mr. Speaker, in terms of the appointments of our ambassadors and high commissioners. Mr. Speaker, when you look at this docket, this is the most sensitive docket that we always have, a docket that sometimes we really forget about it. But first, to congratulate all those who have went through the interviews and now are headed to the different missions that they will be serving Kenyans, and to really ask them in a very humble way that go out there and make us proud. Be a brand for ourselves. Brand us. You are the ones who bring the image back home of how Kenya is. And therefore, go and serve our Kenyans. Right now, there are many challenges, especially in some of the missions that we have out there that Kenyans are going through, Mr. Speaker. And we are hoping that the ambassadors will have a way of dealing with it. There are those who are going, go and work well with your staff. You are going to find Kenyans who have been in the mission. Kindly work with them. Let us not now find people writing back home that you send us an ambassador, and now they are going through a lot of challenges because of that High Commissioner or Ambassador. Mr. Speaker, we also want now the committee. You realize we have many challenges of our rents in most of the missions. And there must be a way that Parliament must relook and think through. And we need to ask ourselves how Uganda has survived, how Tanzania have survived. Mr. Speaker, Tanzanians have survived by using their NSSF to be paying and buying their missions, and then the money that was meant for rent, you pay back to NSSF. As Kenya, we should be thinking to go through that. Because this thing of rent, you can imagine right now how we are struggling in this country on the economy. And ask yourself, what about your missions out there? How are they surviving? Even as we go for benchmarking, you would want them to come, you'll want them to come at the airport to receive you, but do they have the resources? Are we giving them enough resources to do that? So the best thing is to think of a way to make it sustainable, that they can have their own missions, and then back home here, we can ensure the Ministry of Foreign Affairs must be paying NSSF back their money. The same way we are doing affordable housing is the same way we should be thinking about our missions across where they are all over the world, Mr. Speaker. The other thing we should be asking ourselves, there are many opportunities. We must look of a way of starting to export, Mr. Speaker, so that we are able to reduce to the dollar, so that we are able to now find Kenyans having this challenge that we are having every day, the dollar just spiking on us. The only way we can deal with it, Mr. Speaker, is to ensure that we have exports. And these are now our ambassadors who can go and champion to see what can we export out of our country to ensure that we also now start working on our economy. So for me, as I congratulate all of them, especially those who I know, I want to tell you as you go, remember to carry our flag high. Remember that Kenya is a hub of East Africa, and make it that hub. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you. Well done. You kidogo, so that we're able to get more people speak. The Honorable Member for Kibwezi West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was inclined to support the request by Honorable Pukose that the mover be called to reply, because members are saying the same thing repeatedly. But even as I do so, allow me to say the following. Number one, I am in support of the report that has been tabled by the Honorable Nelson Koech, the chair of the Defense and Foreign Affairs Committee, that the 27 appointees to the different positions of ambassadors, high commissioners, and permanent representatives be approved by this House. Mr. Speaker, as we do so, we must remember that Kenya enjoys a very good place in the international community. We have a very good footing in the international community. And that our image out there has been one of the best, one of the impeccable image in Africa. And that the people who are appointed can only be expected to make our image better, not even to maintain what we have. And reading from the report, because I did not have the privilege of listening to them during their interview, during their suitability appearance before the committee, it appears that the committee of this House is satisfied that the persons so nominated and now being vetted by this House have what it takes to take the image of this country forward. But Mr. Speaker, it cannot also be lost to this House that diplomats are funded by taxpayers' money. We pay them salaries, they will be housed by taxpayers' money, they will have offices, they will have vehicles, they will have residence. Part of the privileges they enjoy, and they enjoy many privileges, is that their children will go to international schools, many things. Their personal bills will be catered for by taxpayers' money. And therefore, this House must be demanding, as part of our oversight mandate, that there must be results. that the people being so appointed must also give results so that the money that we are expending can give value to the people of Kenya. And therefore, my request is that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs must give the diplomats, as they are being posted, specific targets so that each and every diplomat from the station where they are appointed can be able to account for what it is that they are brought to this country or what it is that has helped this country in their specific area of posting. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, as I sit, we have also many places in the world where Kenya does not have a diplomatic footprint. Many of them are being coordinated by embassies that are far away. And I would urge that the Committee on Defense and Foreign Relations now urges the government to increase the funding to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so that we open more consulates, we open more missions, so that our footprint can be everywhere in the world. As I finish, Mr. Speaker, it is now a matter of public notoriety that many of these embassies are not properly funded. Many of them are sitting in offices. I sit in the Public Accounts Committee, and recently we went to our mission in Geneva. And while Geneva have an office, and we congratulate the outgoing High Representative of Kenya to the WHO, the Honorable former CS Eric Mailu, who was from my constituency, was doing a good job there. But even as we do so, we realized that from the audit reports, a lot of these missions are complaining that they are not adequately funded and therefore they are not able to execute their mandate. And we want to request that the Committee on Foreign Relations finds it necessary as part of the budgeting role of that committee so that our missions, when we send ambassadors there, they are also adequately resourced so that they are able to bring results back to the country. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I beg to support the report and reiterate my earlier comment that the request by Honorable Pukosa that
out of order.
Mr. Speaker,
You're out of
I have
order.
not completed. I do not know. Sorry.
You're out of order.
Because I had not finished.
You're out of order, Honorable.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me congratulate the committee led by Nelson Koech for this report. I think for the first time, the way the interviews are conducted, the way the reports are filed, I think they have put it very clearly that they are able to match the individual nominee to the qualification or the experience that they bring to this particular docket. Honorable Speaker, I also want to thank His Excellency the President for the list of diplomats that he has been able to select to be approved by this House. He has clearly looked at the face of Kenya, the gender. In this particular case, we have 10 women out of the 27. I think this in itself meets the 1/3 threshold that we have always been fighting for or asking. They also represent the face of Kenya and regional balance, and a mix of people from industry, academia, public, and also career diplomats. Honorable Speaker, when you pick somebody like Ambassador Orina, who was the Director General at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, to go to a mission in Addis Ababa, it simply means somebody has thought through it. Addis Ababa is, I think, the most important mission. Not that there are other missions that are not important, but in this particular case, it is in the heart of Africa, where 53 other diplomats are going to sit there. So for that reason, I think somebody has been thinking through this. Honorable Speaker, I want to take specific names. In particular, Sabdio Dido, a lady from Marsabit, from rural Marsabit for that matter, the sub-county of Northern. I think she happens to be the first female who has been appointed an ambassador from that region. So we really thank the President for this particular lady, who is a trailblazer and also a champion for the issue of youth, gender, and also empowerment. I would also wish to recognize fellows like Shema Madi, Lieutenant General Kendagor, Iringo Kubai, Honorable Kogo. These are individuals who have sound professional footing. They bring wealth of experience to this particular docket of diplomacy. Mr. Speaker, the issue of diplomatic representation is to establish a home away from home. So as we visit the different countries around the world, when we meet our embassies, the staff, the ambassadors, it means we are meeting one of our own. So as they work in those countries, they must know that they are representing everybody. They represent the head of state of this country in that country of assignment. Secondly, the face of Kenya outside there. Honorable colleagues have talked about the dilapidated nature of our embassies, underfunded, underrepresenting us, not able to do most of what we expect them to project. Economic diplomacy, cultural diplomacy, and also allowing Kenyans to access those countries for opportunities. We have created the the Department of Diaspora in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I think it is not lost on us that our diaspora remits so much back to the economy. And that is why our ambassadors or our diplomats must really look after the welfare of Kenyans wherever they are. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support.
Asante sana Bwana Spika, hata mimi kunipatia nafasi ili niweze kuchangia katika ripoti hii ambayo ni ripoti nzuri kabisa. Nataka kutangulia mwanzo kwa kuwapongeza wanakamati kwa kuweza kukalia kuweza kupiga msasa hawa mabalozi ambao walioteuliwa na kutuletea ripoti hii ambayo tumeweza kuiangalia, na ni ripoti ambayo imeandikwa kwa ufasaha. Nataka kuunga mkono ripoti hii na nikiwapongeza kabisa mabalozi wapya kwa majukumu yao mapya ambayo wanaenda kuanza kuyafanya. Nataka kusema hivi, nataka ujumbe huu uende kwa mabalozi wapya kwamba wao watakuwa wazazi wa Wakenya wengi ambao wako nje ya nchi. Tuko na Wakenya wengi ambao ni diaspora, Kenyan diaspora ambao wako kule nje, ambao wanawatazamia sana kwa msaada mmoja ama wengine. Tafadhali wakifika kule waweze kuwatambua Wakenya walioko kule, waweze kuwasikiza, waweze kuwahudumia kwa hali ambayo ni ya sawa. Tumeona Wakenya wengi wakipata changamoto mingi wakiwa kule nje ya nchi. Wengine wameenda kimasomo, wengine wameenda kikazi, wananyanyasika kule, ili hali tunao mabalozi ambao wako kule wanastahili kuwasaidia. Basi ni jukumu lao. Nataka pia kuwaeleza wakiwa kule nje ya nchi, wao ni macho ya nchi, na vile vile wao wanasomwa kama wakilishi wa nchi, na ni vyema kwamba waweze kujibeba na uzalendo, na uzalendo huo waweze kupeperusha bendera yetu ya Kenya juu, na kuweza pia kuangalia nafasi nyingi ambazo zinaweza kuboresha nchi yetu, nafasi za kazi, nafasi za biashara, na pia kuuza nchi yetu kwa zile nchi nyingine kwa mambo ya utalii na mambo mengine kama hayo. Nataka pia nichukue fursa hii nimpongeze rais kwa sababu kwa uteuzi wake ameufanya kwa uangalifu kabisa. Tumeona idadi ya wanawake walioteuliwa ikiwa nzuri kabisa, wanawake 10, na pia tumeona ameweka idadi ya wanaume kisawasawa, na vile vile ameangalia sehemu mbalimbali. Pia ameangalia vile utendakazi wa hawa mabalozi. Tunamjua vizuri ambassador Mama Betty Cheron ambaye anapelekwa kule Ufaransa. Ni mama ambaye ana weledi sana kwa mambo ya kidiplomasia. Na pia nichukue fursa hii kumpongeza dada Janet Oben Wawasi ambaye anatoka ile kaunti ya Taita Taveta. Hata yeye amepata fursa ya kuwa balozi wa kule Rwanda, na mwambia kongole sana, na asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipatia hii fursa ili kuweza kuchangia katika ripoti hii. Mimi naunga mkono. Asante.
Asante sana. This chance goes to the member for Kajiado South. I've done for this side. I've not done a single this side. Allow this side also to have a chance to say something.
Okay, thank you, Speaker. Yeah, I stand to support the report. And first of all, Speaker, allow me to appreciate and thank the President for the nomination of the potential diplomats whom are going to represent our country, because the nominees shows the coverage of the whole country, where there's a gender balance and even regions. Mr. Speaker, I congratulate the committee for the good work they have done, long time they have taken during the vetting process, and the great work they have done for the report. I also congratulate the nominee for ambassador, high commissioners, and diplomats for getting the opportunity to go and represent our country in the globe. Finally, I wish to wish them all the best as they continue to go and serve as ambassadors and high commissioners and diplomats. One of the comments that I want to require, as they go, we will wish to task them that they are going at the right time, that our country, our shilling has depreciated a lot, so they need to go and look for us a business and work closely with our trade attaches in several areas and see the trade agreements that are supposed to be implemented. That is going to help our country grow in different places, in the warehouses and businesses, more on tourism. So, Mr. Speaker, I support the report and I thank you so much.
From Embakasi East.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the nominees for the ambassadorial positions. To the nominees, just know that you are the face of Kenya to the rest of the world. Speaker, I want to take a keen interest in one of the nominees, Madam Janet Oben Mwasi, a lady who was my classmate at the University of Nairobi, Parkland School of Law, an advocate of the High Court. This is one of the best decisions that has been made by this government, because as a person who can testify, Bwana Speaker, this is a lady who is intelligent, astute, a lady whose intellectual capacity is at optimum, a lady whom I believe will deliver on behalf of this nation. Therefore, I would just like to thank for the first time His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya. I didn't know that he can make such a serious decision. May God bless this nation.
The member for Keyo South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I join the rest of my colleagues in congratulating the nominees and also to say thank you to the committee led by Honorable Nelson Koech for a good job. The role of an ambassador is to safeguard the interests of our country, is to safeguard the nationals of our country outside there. As they do so, they do in 4 ways. One, they go outside there to listen on behalf of our country. And as they do so, I encourage the nominees to listen for us in terms of the best technology outside there, to listen for us in terms of security so that our country can be safeguarded against the modern or the new challenges, including terrorism. As they go out there, I encourage the nominees to advocate for our country, to advocate for our tea, for our coffee, for our tourism, and for our athletics. I come from the county of Elgeyo Marakwet, KO South constituency, a ward called Kaptaroko ward where most of our athletes have come from. I listen to their outcry when they are outside there. I listen to how they are misused by foreign managers outside there. I ask the nominees who will go outside there, especially in Europe, to assist our athletes so that they are not taken advantage of by the managers. I ask them to go outside there and advocate for our human capital so that we export more of our people in terms of jobs. As they go outside there also, I encourage them to advocate for our culture so that they give out our image, they give out our identity and our brand as a country, Kenya. Finally, as they go outside there, I encourage them to represent us in getting scholarships to our students and increase the number of people that can get employment outside there. As we know, in our country at the moment, we have the problem of unemployment. Also, I use this opportunity to thank the President for giving the career diplomats at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs a chance to reach the peak of their careers. Because when somebody joins the Foreign Service, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as a cadet officer, one of the biggest ambitions is to one day, one time, be called an ambassador. The previous regimes reward different people from different sectors, but they always omit the people at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. But our President has recognized the people within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and for this, I thank His Excellency the President. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Igembe South.
Asante sana Bwana Speaker. Pia mimi naungana na wenzangu kuunga mkono ripoti hii ya kamati kwa uteuzi wa wajumbe wa kidiplomasia wale ambao wanaenda kuwakilisha nchi kule nje. Bwana Speaker, Bwana Speaker, wakati ambapo mabalozi huteuliwa kwa dhana ya nchi ili nchi iweze kufaidika wakati ambapo wanaiwakilisha kule, na pia ni wahusika wakuu kwa kuleta uhusiano wa nchi na nchi ambayo wako ama mahali ambapo wamewakilisha nchi hii. Kwa hivyo ni nafasi mzuri ambayo wamepewa na nchi hii kuiwakilisha ili hii nchi iweze pia kuheshimika kule nje. Bwana Speaker, tuko na bidhaa vingi ambavyo tunaweza kuuza pale nje, na kupitia hawa mabalozi wetu ambao wanatuwakilisha kule ni njia mwafaka ambayo wamepewa na hii nchi kuweza kueleza zile nchi ya kwamba tuko na vitu za sana hizi vitu za ukulima ama tunakuza vitu vingi ambavyo pia tunaweza kuuza kule nje, na ni wakati ambapo ni wakati mzuri ambao wamepewa ili waweze kuimarisha uchumi wa hii nchi kwa kuuza yale ambayo hii nchi inaweza ama vile vitu nchi hii inaweza kuvitoa. Vile vile Bwana Spika, hii nchi katika utalii tumeimarika, na sababu tumeimarika katika utalii ni jukumu lao kuuza vile vitu ambavyo tunavyo katika taifa hili kwa mambo ya utalii, ili tuweze kupata watalii wengi katika taifa hili, wale ambao wataweza kuleta fedha za kigeni ambazo zitaweza kuimarisha shilingi ya Kenya, sababu Bwana Spika, imeweza kusorota sana. Lakini wakati ambapo tutaweza kupata watalii wengi wakisuru nchi hii, tutaweza kuimarisha zile hela za nchi hii. Vile vile Bwana Spika, tuko na wanafunzi wengi wale ambao wako na maono ya kusoma katika zile nchi zingine. Ni jukumu la hawa mabalozi, wakati ambapo wametumwa kule na serikali, kuhakikisha ya kwamba wameweza kupata nafasi nyingi za watoto wetu kutoka nchi hii, ili waweze kuenda kule na waweze pia kusoma na pia kupata ajira katika nchi zile. Vile vile Bwana Spika, hawa mabalozi wetu wataweza kule ambako wametembea, wataweza kuinua jina la taifa hili, sababu rais ambaye ameiongoza taifa hili tumeona akiweza kuimarisha uhusiano wa taifa la Kenya na nchi zingine. Kwa hivyo ni jukumu ambalo pia wanaweza kulichukulia ama wanafaa kulichukulia kwa umuhimu sana, ili tuweze kupata marafiki wengi ambao wanaweza kuja ama kushirikiana pamoja na nchi hii. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, nawapa kongole, wakienda wafanye kazi vyema, na naomba kuunga mkono hii ripoti. Asante sana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion before us. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the Chair of Defense and Foreign Relations and the committee for doing a good job. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank the President because he actually did a good selection. Honorable Speaker, international diplomacy is based on the Vienna Convention, where it actually puts out clearly what a diplomat is supposed to do in the receiving nation. In this particular crop of diplomats, Honorable Speaker, Kenya has actually chosen the best, knowing very well that in international diplomacy, the issues of the nation are actually at stake. Every diplomat who is sent out there, and I know in the Foreign Office will always put them under induction, they will learn issues of diplomatic circles. But one of the things that this country is really looking for in international diplomacy entails the interest of this country. One of it is actually the issue of tourism, cultural exchange, and educational diplomacy. When you look at the two, the highest honor that brings money to this country is education, where Kenyans have been known worldwide of having very good standing in terms of knowledge, expertise, and all this. The choice of diplomats in various fields, for example, India. India is actually a new world power, where the presence of the Kenyan people in terms of technology, in terms of industry, and in terms of even medical tourism is very important. So, Honorable Speaker, you'll realize that the choices of these diplomats was well done. Dr. Wilson Kogo, for example, is a renowned educationist, and many Kenyans, especially from many parts of this country, have been flocking to Australia. There are actually, we have scientists, we have statisticians, we have nurses, and all this.
India.
So as the diplomats move to those particular areas.
India or Australia?
Australia, yes. Okay. Australia. As Kenyans flock those particular parts of the world, they need actually to be placed in the right sectors of the economy of those countries, so that as they make earnings, this country will actually have a lot of foreign income. Honorable Speaker, we also have regional politics, which is actually going to be played by the regions where our diplomats have, especially Ethiopia, South Africa, and even the Great Lakes region. So the postings of these diplomats in this particular region will actually put the image of Kenya before the regional community, and it will actually project how we stand in the community of nations. So the choice of diplomats, for example, in the various postings like Abuja, where we know Nigeria is now the leading world economic power, South Africa, Egypt, the leading economic power in Africa, Egypt, and even South Africa. So those postings are very important. In terms of the military diplomacy, Honorable Speaker, you'll realize that the choice of General Kendagor was very important, especially in the Middle East. More so specifically Israel, though there is a war going on there, that particular nation is strategically important militarily to this country, and many other postings across the world. So, Honorable Speaker, the crop of diplomats we have before this House are actually able, they are knowledgeable, they are able to deliver for this nation. However, I would ask the Foreign Service to ensure that each and every diplomat is given targets to achieve, so that wherever Kenyans have distress call in those parts of the world, like Ukraine, like even in Malaysia, even in Sri Lanka, or any part of the world, they are called upon to come over and take up that particular distress call. So I rise and I support this particular motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Member for Navakolo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this report on by the Departmental Committee on Foreign Relations towards the appointment of the ambassadors and high commissioners. Honorable Speaker, the key issues on appointment of ambassadors is to represent us wherever they go in terms of our national interest, promotion of our national product, encouraging investment in and out of our country, and maximizing on economic diplomacy. Honorable Speaker, when you look at the ambassadors and high commissioners that have been proposed, these are ladies and gentlemen who fit that category of individuals who are capable to represent this country out of this country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to single out on the front of military diplomacy, Honorable Speaker, and look at a person like Colonel retired Shem Amadi. Honorable Speaker, this is a person who was once a teacher, rose through the ranks and joined the armed forces, and was decorated thereafter in the armed forces. And at the same time, Honorable Speaker, the President felt fit and even decorated the person in terms of the awards. He got the MBS and he got the OGW, Honorable Speaker. This is a person who is capable to take to represent us in Kinshasa, DRC, whereby, Honorable Speaker, we want a person who can manage the situation in Kinshasa in terms of representation. Honorable Speaker, look at the representation appointment on the two colleagues, the Honorable Kubai Iringo, a very genuine and honest member of this House. Kubai Iringo will represent us very well in Somalia, very capable. And Honorable Speaker, we are proud that at least one of us will be in Somalia representing us. The second person, Honorable Speaker, is Dr. Kogo, a very good scholarly person, Honorable Speaker, a colleague and an astute debater in this House. We want to thank the President for considering those two as former leaders of this House, that they can take care of us in terms of our diplomatic missions. Honorable Speaker, the only wish I wish to request, Honorable Speaker, is that while we are appointing these officers to the foreign missions, we saw the PCS and Minister for Foreign Affairs the other day complaining about the resources, Honorable Speaker. It is important that we fund and support foreign missions from the exchequer, so that we don't have persons, representatives, Honorable Speaker, begging from wherever they are. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support this report, and I once more support the report. Thank you very much, Honorable
Thank you. The Honorable Bishop Kosgei.
Thank you.
The Honorable Bishop Kosgei will be heard in silence.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the onset, as I take the floor, I wish to congratulate and appreciate the work done by the Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on their report deposited before the House and the presentation of names nominated by the President for diplomacy on behalf of this country. I also want to congratulate the nominated members who are our appointed members for this position, being a very important role in the representation of our great country. It has been said in political science as a student that dialogue and diplomacy are the only guarantee of lasting peace anywhere in the world and all the time in history. That the world has not survived only by the presence of military, but also diplomacy has played a great role. This morning, Mr. Speaker, I just want to mention one role, that diplomats, wherever they are to safeguard the people and the interest of our great country. As we approve these names, I wish to remind ourselves that the ministry concerned should be able to resource our foreign diplomatic offices, enable them to serve our people wherever they are. I wish to thank and appreciate the President for combining and creating the new Department of Diaspora so that it can take care of our students and Kenyans at large, wherever they are in the world. And therefore, we asked that all the diplomats and commissioners must be intentional in their representation about this country. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. Member for Tigania West. Member for Tigania West.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to this motion. Honourable Speaker, I would like to thank the committee for the good work that they have done, for looking at these individuals and confirming that the President has made the right choices in proposing these names. Honourable Speaker, I also would like to appreciate the systematic manner in which our President has really managed his government and has approached the issues of appointment. I wish to note three things in this particular appointment. First of all, he has clearly and finally balanced in terms of regional representation. The map of Kenya is apparent in this particular appointment. The second thing is that he has clearly and carefully managed the age, which is a factor that we forget quite a number of times, and our youth, who are the majority in this particular country, have been complaining. The other issue he has carefully and clearly managed in terms of gender. The gender issue, the gender equation is very well represented here, and ideally we owe him a lot of gratitude. Honourable Speaker, I would also like to caution on these particular individuals who have been appointed, and one of them is my very close friend and neighbor, the Honourable former Member of Parliament for Igembe Central. Honourable Speaker, I would like to say that the training they are going to go through needs to be thorough, needs to be focused, in the sense that it should be able to bring them up into clear diplomats who are going to represent our country better. The important thing is that we have seen some diplomats going out there and having some undiplomatic approaches and undiplomatic actions. Honourable Speaker, I would like to caution the Lordship in the issue of diplomats. I would like to remind the members that you are the ones who are looking at this particular list. You are the ones who have vetted these members, and you are the ones who will meet them out there in those diplomatic circles or in their countries, and they will not respect you. So it is very important for them to realize that there is a relationship in the government where the entire government approach takes the center stage. Honourable Speaker, there is also the spirit of supporting those Kenyans who are in those countries. We have gone to several countries and found Kenyans complaining they cannot access the ambassador. The ambassador does not support what they do in those countries. The ambassador doesn't know them. The ambassador does not have sessions to discuss with those Kenyans. We would like to caution these friends of ours to take Kenyans seriously and support Kenyans in whatever they are doing. The final thing I want to mention, Honourable Speaker, is that they need to have the context of Kenya in perspective. They need to remember whom they are representing. They are representing Dr. William Samoei Ruto in those countries, a person who has impeccable character and a very